Welcome everyone to another session with Jay Abraham, the founder of Metanoia Academy. The Love Journey is your love doctor. Today we're discussing the 7 different parental types that are destined to make you emotionally neglected. And it's not only talking to parents' mindset only, but it's also talking to the people that gone through the I guess the kids that went through the whole trauma, not that trauma, but the people that went through the whole process themselves. And this is just to make you understand why you are emotionally drained, emotionally neglected, emotionally distant, emotionally unavailable, and so on. This is just to really give you explain and show you the 7 different parental types that gives you that result. So this is based on one of the research from Dr. Jonas Webb, and she discussed it in her book. There's a couple of books that she wrote, Running on Empty, Running on Empty No More, and then it further explained in other books, which is the boy who was raised as a dog, which is a phenomenal book. And then another one was done by Dr. Scott Peck, and the road less travel, and this explains a little bit more why people are a lot of emotionally drained. So the study again, there's another study by Dr. Donald Winnicott stated that we recognize the fathers are of equal importance in the development of the child. So the meaning of Winnicott's observation on mothering is still essentially the same. So there's a minimum. They said that there's a minimal amount of parental emotional connection, empathy, and ongoing attention which is necessary to fuel a child's growth and development so that he or she will grow into an emotionally healthy and emotionally connected adult. So just think about how your childhood were, and just want to emphasize, not every single person that's gone through childhood trauma necessarily becomes. I mean, this is not discussing the people that went through childhood trauma. Any healthy parents or the parents that were doing the right thing by their kids can still produce a child that's emotionally drained or emotionally neglected. And because of that, that's why I'm sharing with you how just 7 different ones. Whoever goes into the love journey stages with me, and whoever goes through the course with me in the program, once you enroll to the academy, you go through the whole 10 processes and figure out exactly what they are and be able to tackle it succinctly, so you can be able to recover and rekindle. This is just sharing with you just few of them, which is 7 of them, and giving you a brief understanding of how to identify it and recover from it. So it's going to be a 2-part video. It's going to be the first one about the 7, and then the other part is about how to deal with it. So this says that the parenting that is just good enough takes many forms, but all of these recognizes the child's emotional and physical needs in any given moment, in any given culture, and do a good enough job of meeting it. And even though a lot of parents do tend to focus on how to make the child happy and fulfilled and loved, not necessarily to do the right thing by treating them emotionally first. Sometimes emotionally the kids need more, and they want to understand more about themselves, and only for to do that, parents have to understand that communication and understanding. And I keep saying parents, but not necessarily that's the own sole concept of the understanding. There's also in relationship you have with your partner, in relationship you have with yourself, understanding why you're not the way you are, just make you understand that through your own childhood. There's a different strategies. You just pick the ones that you see fits to you and find a way to recover from that. So as we will move on, we'll make you understand 2 main factors. First, all parents are guilty of emotionally failing their children at times because nobody is perfect. So that's fine. So we all get tired and cranky and stressed therefore it's not the end of the world. So it's not an issue. It's not an issue. Everybody does it. Everybody has to go through the stage. So however, there's 2 things that stand out of emotionally neglected parent, and I'll share with you the other part for this too. So either they emotionally fail their children in some critical way in a moment of crisis. Now here's the key word: moment of crisis, causing the child a wound which may never be repaired, or they are chronically tone deaf to some aspect of the child's needs throughout his or her childhood development. I'm not sure if you were born in a traditional household or not, but for me it was the concept that every time I feel upset or not happy, my parents used to say, "Well, why are you upset? You have everything you ever need. You have so much more than I ever had." See, these parents have good intention and have good understanding, but they don't see things from your level, and because of that, you become emotionally neglected, emotionally distant. So every time you feel upset, they get angry. So you say to yourself, "I don't want to be upset anymore because I don't want to get them angry anymore." Stuff like that. So the second factor you have to understand, the second thing that you need to know is that if you are being emotionally neglected as a child and that you are reading this, it's not your fault because it's invisible, insidious, and easily passed from generation to generation. It's extremely unlikely and difficult to start unless you become explicitly aware of it. So it's not a blame game. I'm just trying to make you aware of the situation. Because you're aware of it, you'll be able to tackle it. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So, starting off from scratch, there's attachment theories describe how emotionally needs for safety and connections are met by our parents from infancy. So there's of course, a lot of you guys must have heard about the attachment theories in young self. There's a research, an experiment done by John Polby, an understanding of parent-child bonding comes from thousands of hours of observing parents and children, beginning with mothers and infants. Therefore, when we meet our child's emotional needs in infancy, a secure attachment is formed and is maintained. And a secure attachment, when you get that in adult form, that is by far the most amazing thing you can ever get as a partner, an emotionally secured person. There's a lot of us that becomes anxious and becomes avoidant because we don't understand ourselves better as we can move forward. So looking at emotionally healthy through the lens of attachment theory, we can identify 3 essential emotional skills in parents. 1, parents feel as emotionally connected to the child. 2, the parents pay attention to the child and sees him as a unique or her and separate a person rather than say an extension of themselves, which is great. Using the emotional connection and pay attention, the parents respond competently to the child in emotional need. So in summary, when the parents are mindful of the children's unique emotional nature, they raise an emotionally strong adult, and that's great. But of course, not everybody does go through that. Not everybody goes through that mentality. Because of that, they get stuck. So I'm going to share with you the parental style, so we can become understanding and how to keep an eye on what kind of a childhood you have, so you can understand who you are throughout this individual and become aware of it. Ready? First thing first, narcissistic parents. Of course, some of you guys might have seen the narcissistic equilibrium videos. This is just an elaboration from it. So the name narcissistic came from the Greek myth of a Narcissus, which is, it said that the narcissist who was so handsome, a young man who looked dazzling to all who knew him. Many praised them. A lot of women love him. A lot of men want to be like him. So he was so vain that he loved himself so much that he looked in the water and saw his own reflection. He fell in love with his reflection so much that he went and drowned. That's what I guess narcissist is all about. And be able to so how awesome is that? So narcissistic parents, narcissistic people are a lot like the name, a lot like the name. So most of the time they run on full tank of superiority, confidence, and charisma. But sometimes narcissistic recognizes that their sense of superiority to others is an illusion. Therefore, they gravitate toward evidence that confirms that the sense of superiority, and they avoid interaction or relationships that provide evidence to the contrary. So they don't want to go through anything that they make them feel like they're not as good as they feel. So despite their arrogance, they are easily hurt and emotionally weak. But perhaps the most damaging trait is that they often judge others and find them sadly lacking. So they make sure that you victimize, make sure that you're not competent enough, not loved enough, and you're not good enough. So they'll do whatever it takes. Second comes their permissive parents. They consider the opposite of an authoritative family. So the people are authoritative, so just think of it that way. The permissive parents' motto is "Don't worry, be happy." They do not provide the children with limited structure or in adolescent a strong adult presence against the child, against which the child can rebel. So it's just saying that they have no energy, they don't have the power to rebel against it. So they just tell you, you know what, go out and hang out with your friends, go out, yeah, can I mom and dad cannot go do this, just go do it. Just as long as you're happy. I just want to make sure that you're happy. So they'll give you no structure, no boundaries, no limitations, no understanding of about what's right and wrong. They just let you do everything and understand that mentality. Permissive parents are often very loving by the children. This is because permissive parents stir up very little conflict with their children. They don't want to fight with you. They don't want to have a conflict with you. They don't want to argue with you. They just want to make sure that you're happy because it's just too much energy. They don't say much very often. Next up is bereaved parent. So these are parents that are of a divorce or widowed. This is a little bit sensitive because bereaved parents are often just desperately trying to cope. It's not really your fault, or it's not really, in a way, not their fault, but they're trying to go over something. So it's not easy to have a parent who's grieving. It's even harder when they're grieving your own parent whom they lost as well. So imagine you losing a father or a mother, and imagine them losing a husband or a wife. It's just the same concept, but of course, because you feel confused and lost within your own emotions, and they're crying, you cannot seek out your own attention because you see them suffering, and because they're suffering, you don't want to put more burden on them by telling them that you're also suffering. So you tend to take on that kind of responsibility on yourself by just pushing all the emotions down, and you say, you know what, because I just want to be there for my mom, I just want to be there for my dad, when in reality they're the ones that should be there for you. So it becomes a little complicated, and it becomes a little bit difficult for you to understand yourself, because now the shock and the misunderstanding that you're feeling inside, you cannot say it since they're going through some trauma, not misunderstanding. So they're going through bereavement themselves. Because of that, they emotionally neglect you because they're taking care of themselves instead of taking care of the child that also lost a parent. Said. Fourth, the addicted parent. When you hear the word addicted, of course, most of us think about alcohol and drug, but there's a whole different combination of addiction. Addiction could be gambling, there could even be sex addiction, there could be workaholics, there could be doing a lot of things that get their time occupied away from you. And the way it's described, it said addiction encompasses a much broader range of compulsive behaviors, from gambling, shopping, internet, or even porn addiction, to even scratch tickets, cigarettes, slot machine, online gambling. But these pursuits can cross the line into addiction when a person begins to, here's the things, feel intense pleasure, bordering on relief when they're doing the activity, spend more and more time on the activity for the family to complain or notice, spend money and other resources on activity where they can't even afford it, use the activity for many purposes to relieve stress, socializing, play, manage emotions, and so on, deny the activity is harming oneself or anyone else. Many of you guys seen this, many of you guys gone through the process. Unfortunately, of course, a child is being neglected and is not being paid attention to. This is not necessarily a trauma, but this is just a child is not being looked after or managed or monitored, or at least loved, or felt like they're important enough. They feel like the other activities and other things that they do is more important than their own child. Because of that, their own self-esteem and their own long-standing feelings of not being good enough stays and remains. So they say, okay, if my parents love this so much, maybe I'm not good enough. So if I'm not good enough, then I'm gonna focus on things that make me feel good enough, which is, you even do self-harm. You can even do some rebellious things just so you can make sure the parents pay attention to you. Sad. Now, number 5, depressed parents. Most depressed kids believe that they have to portray perfection in order not to get their parents angry or upset. This parent may become entrenched in their personality, so he or she has great difficulty rocking the boat, making mistakes, or allowing themselves to feel imperfect human being. If the parents is depressed already enough, the parents are not feeling loved about themselves, they feel like if they said anything that aggravates the parents will come back and attack them. For that, they have to remain perfect, they have to remain good, they have to remain in such a perfect image and not a human image. So in order for the parents to start feeling happy, maybe, and then start associating the depression of the parents with themselves. If they maybe they're depressed because I got a lower grade, maybe they're depressed because I did something wrong. For that, I'm gonna be that perfect kid, so the parents can become happy again. Even though it's not our fault, it's not our duty to make the parents happy. The parents are supposed to want nurture us and give us the comfort and the happiness in order for us to feel the happy and unconditioned. Uh, the thing is, this is unlike the narcissistic family who demands attention. Depressed parents they often seem to disappear. They just want to be done with themselves. They hide in their room. They hide away from any attention so they can just deal with whatever the hell they're going through. They have low energy and little to give. They're usually missing in action and live off their own family or their own lifestyle. When they usually present as irritable or glum. That's the kind of presentation that they have. Depressed depressed parents are really intense. Now, number 6, this is a little twist. A child acting as a parent. This the parent actually encourages or enforces his child or their child to behave as if they are the parent, not the child. Sometimes the child must parent themselves, and sometimes he or she must parent their sibling as well. A lot of you guys that had, let's say, a huge amount of kids or a lot of pool of kids in the family, usually the elders will take care of the young ones, and they start to change their diapers, take them to school, do all the stuff as a parent. And the parents, because the parents are too occupied or worried about their own stuff and they can't manage. In the most extreme example, a child can even be called upon to parent the parent. The parents might be depressed, maybe came home drunk, so they have to clean them, wash them, put it back to bed, and do what a parent is supposed to do. The large majority of these families, there's some of them extreme hardship which forces the child to suddenly become an adult. Take an example of the family has financial difficulties and both parents are forced to work longer hours. So a parent is not available to be a parent to your sibling. One of the examples, of course. And it happens a lot, unfortunately, and because of that, it leaves you again dead a little bit dead inside, because you never experienced childhood. In this situation, think of it as Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was never be able to kid. So when he get older, he was only able to associate himself as a kid. So he remained in that childhood mentality, and because of that, he only wanted to hang out with kids rather than adults, because that's where his brain capacity was limited to. He was only limiting himself to become a kid and only live as a kid. Similar story. Last but not least, the well-meaning but neglected themselves parents. A long title. She uses that title. I'm not sure why, but it kind of makes sense when you read it. So even the most loving and well-meaning parents can be emotionally neglectful. It's entirely possible for a parent who loves and wants the best for the children to emotionally neglect. How? The truth is, to love your child is a very different thing from being in tune with your child. For healthy development, loving a child just isn't enough. Just to tell them that you love them and love them is not enough. You have to actually be there, be attentive, be available, be not only physically available but emotionally available. So if you're on your phone and hanging out with your kid, that's not the same as just hanging out with your kid. Being present is actually being intuitively present. So for a parent to be in tune with a child, he or she must be a person who is aware of and understanding emotion in general. You can't just say, yes, I love you, but not show the presentation of love and care and devotion. Everybody loves their kids, and I understand that. But if you're not attuned and make their child understand you, or you understanding their child, then the communication is one-sided, which is the child is trying to yell at you, trying to get your attention, while you get aggravated because the child is yelling. Bigger concept. So you must be observant and see exactly what the child can and can't do, so you can continue developing the child to their true potential. They must be willing and able to put in the effort and the energy required to truly know the child. Situations such as anxiety, concentration might be caused, and even depression might be caused when a child is not feeling good level during life circumstances, especially when something happened and a crisis happens, and if you're not attentively or attuned or there available or aware of the child's needs, then you're always going to cause your child to feel misunderstood, confused, and further confusion leads to a misunderstanding of themselves, lower self-esteem, and the list goes on. These are the 7. If you need to understand more and you want to learn more, let me know, and I'm happy to share with you all the information, all the knowledge. And whoever's going through the love journey, there's more to you guys, more in-depth understanding and awareness of all the parental style. For that, I'll leave you guys to it, and tomorrow we'll share the second part of how to attack such a situation like this and understand yourself better. I am Jay Abraham, the founder of Metanoia Academy, the Love Journey. Just your love doctor. Signing off. See you guys.